Hello everyone, my name's Suzanne and I garden and grow cut flowers in Devon in the UK. Last week I promised you an update of all things that have been going on, so that's what I'm aiming to do in this video. Not been very good weather this weekend. Right now it's 6:15 on Sunday evening and I haven't actually filmed the garden tours yet, so that's what I'm going to go out now and do now the sun has finally come out. The gardens are looking very, very tired now. The cottage garden, mainly because I don't think I've done any gardening in the cottage garden for really all summer. So it's been completely taken over by nettles and bindweed. But my plan for that is going to be to do a huge clear out, to dig a lot of things up and replant it. And the autumn is a perfect time for that. So it may look a mess now, but I'm hopeful that next spring it will bounce right back. And the cut flower patch only has 2 weeks left now of production, because I officially close my season for the cut flower patch at the end of September, and that's just because I don't have a polytunnel, so I'm always very keen to get the space ready so I can go on with growing things ready for next year. I like to get the beds all cleared and where they can be sown, and where not, nicely mulched and things like that. So it is looking a bit worse for wear, but it's only got 2 weeks left that it needs to produce me flowers for, so as long as it can do that, we'll be okay. Right, let's before it starts raining again, let's go out and have a look round. So my wall hasn't done very well this year. It didn't like the drought. I'm considering digging it up and putting some more drought tolerant things in here. See, look, we've even got ground elder in here now because I've not kept on top of it. So that desperately needs to come out. But when I first moved in, I had this as a lavender hedge, and we had the opposite problem those years. It got too wet and they all died. So it's a bit of a challenge, this gardening monarchy. So I've got to work out if we go lavenders or similar to how it is, or try something completely new. I won't do anything with the buddleias now until early next year, so I'll just let this all stay as some cover for the birds. Lots of the blues have done really well this year, the nepeta, the geraniums. Things that have been complete failures are the penstemons. My new shrubs seem to be settling in, so got a pittosporum there and the broom here. A few more geraniums. These ones are the earlier flowering ones, which is quite nice. And this is my white buddleia, which has all gone to seed now. The roses are okay. The sheep has eaten my new Physocarpus, but hopefully it will bounce back. Lots and lots of bindweed and nettles and things in here, but I'm hoping they'll pull out quite easily. My cafe au lait I always grow in a pot because I don't really like it as a cut flower, apart from the whole Instagram look, but it's a bit of a beast, isn't it, in a bouquet. So I have that in a pot, but I should have staked it. Usually I am a bit nicer to it. My arbour really needs a lot of thought because I couldn't keep up with the watering of it this year. It was just so dry and the water just kept pouring through. So I need to think about putting some sort of water retention ideas in here. That's something that's on the drawing board. There are lots of things over here that I really like. The heathers. The lavenders are going to go just because they're old and woody, and I've grown some new ones from cuttings that can replace them. And then really in here, nothing was staked properly, so it was just a big collapsed mess. So next year I need to think a little bit more. I'm thinking a little bit more about maybe some shrubs. My asters haven't quite flowered yet, but they are budding up, which is quite late. And there's not really much to see in here. I've got 2 peonies, which I'm going to dig out and move. And this needs to be done now, really, in the autumn. So I've got one there to dig out, and that's going to the cut flower patch. So I'm going to have to make sure I bare root it so that I don't potentially take any bindweed with me. And then in amongst this aster here, there's another peony. I can't even see it. There is another peony in there somewhere that I need to find. The brachioglossus is looking wonderful. I've taken some cuttings. And then I've got a new aster here, which I had lost, and then it emerged. I do quite like the colour, but again, it needs more space to reach its full potential. This is still my favourite end of the garden here because of the different heights and because there are more shrubs. So I definitely think more shrubs is the way to go. Not very much flowering apart from the anemones. A few bits of the achillea are having a bit of a second flush. And we do have some berries coming on the skimmia. And this fuchsia, this white one, hasn't even flowered yet. But, you know, we're well into September and it's just got buds on it. Oh, I tell a lie, it's flowering on the lower stems. The Fatis is looking a lot better than it was when we had the drought. It's suddenly gone much greener and glossier. Rudbeckia. Possibly too much Rudbeckia, I'm not sure. But it certainly brightens up this corner. These roses are going to have the most beautiful hips on them, which I can use for some of my wreaths. I'm just waiting for them to colour up a little bit. That is a rose under that bindweed there as well. I've decided I'm actually going to be brave and plant my mint into the cutting garden because I wanted to use far more of it than I could because the drought just meant it was not very usable. It was very brown. I need much healthier, more vigorous growth, which I'm hoping it will get if I put it in the ground. So the chocolate mint, pineapple mint, spearmint and apple mint are all going to go into the cut flower patch. Right, though, we've got to come in so the sheep doesn't come in with us. No, you stay there. Okay, the sheep's safely shut outside. So, here we are. Just survey our surroundings before we actually go in and look at things in a bit more detail. So, these beds at the end here, which are perennials, are just going to need a bit of weeding and a bit of mulching and, you know, a few things like these gladioli. I'm going to take those out and replace them with a different perennial. This bed is half perennials and it's got a few annuals. Again, this will all be perennials. So when I take those annuals out, we'll just give it a good weed and a mulch. And then we can get on with growing something else. We did plant some perennial scabious in here. There's one, there's another, and there's another. So I need to get rid of all these weeds so that we can actually see where they are. I see we've got a self-sown Amy just coming now. Bit late, better late than never I suppose. Obviously these things are just over now. Cornflowers, scabious, Acelia. Didn't use very much of the ag stash, but I'll just give it a really heavy mulch because it's not very good at getting through the winter, but if you mulch it well enough, it will. I've got oregano here. I've actually cut this side down already, but I need to do the same here. And these Rudbeckias, these are the Sahara. And again, if they're not somewhere too waterlogged and you can protect them from cold, you can get them through the winter. So I'll try and do that. But I've got a lot of gaps. So I've got another bed of the Sahara, which I'll move them all together so that I can make a full block. And hopefully they'll grow on from there. The tunnels are in a total state. Weeds, and really I do need to get the tunnels ready to put some autumn sown annuals in, but obviously we've still got the zinnias in here at the moment. But you know, as soon as the temperatures really get cold, I don't even know if all of these buds will come to anything anyway. And I must admit, I've grown annual phlox in 2 places in the garden. This was my first succession, which I grew under EnviroMesh, and it's still producing far better than the second succession, which I just grew out in the garden. The second succession already has gone very yellow, and the foliage just isn't maintaining. I mean, the foliage on this is still lovely and green, and the stem length is exceptional. So I definitely will be growing my phlox in under the EnviroMesh again. And this, I mean, I just love this. This is one of the salmon zinnias. Isn't that lovely? So that's definitely a colour I'll be growing again next year. The sweet peas are well and truly finished, but what I do need to do, I just need to come and harvest some of the seeds, because I'm not going to buy any sweet pea seed this year. I'm just going to see what I've got. My self-sown tomatoes, bless them, they're just going to manage about 1 tomato, I think, from the whole season. But hey ho, free food, can't complain. Over here, I have actually nearly finished this bed. I've got a few bits that still need to be done. So this has been filled up with soil and homemade compost. Then I've put the wool mulch on it, and I've planted some of my biennials. So these ones down here are my Canterbury bells. And then these ones here are my Honesty. And then I've got some Dorcas as well. And then these are teeny tiny foxgloves, which I don't think will flower next year. But I honestly, sometimes I just think I just need to get things in the ground. So that's what I did. Obviously this scabious will be cut down as soon as my season finishes in 2 weeks. And the same goes for this messy bit here. I will cut it all back right down to the ground, and then I'll put the cardboard on it there, and then I'll do the same as what I've done here. I'll top it with some soil and compost, and then mulch it with the wool. This is a big pile of weeds that I dug up, and I need to get rid of those. And then these are my white dianthus in here, and these are my pink dianthus down here. And I can just see the wool has moved a little bit on a few of them, so I just need to find them so they don't get choked in under there. And then this bed is these poor safflowers. Look, they're being a bit choked, but they are hopefully, oh yeah, I think I was just too late planting them. I think I will still give them a go next year, but I'll try and be a bit earlier. But the Dorcas is still looking really good, so I've got that for the next 2 weeks. But everything up this end got chopped down. So this was Beplurum, dill and Ami, but I've got rid of that, and there's a few self-sown things that I've just left in there because I can move them. Although I won't move the annuals. So the Cerinthe I just left there because I thought perhaps in this 2 weeks I might be able to cut from that. But the Verbena boreensis and the foxgloves and the feverfews I can move to somewhere more suitable. The Satis, a lot of it's going over where I haven't cut it. I really should have cut it, but I didn't. I'm not sure what I made of the scabious. Oh, hang on, let me take you round. The Fata Morgana. It wasn't really the colour I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a little more salmon, but I don't know, I found it a bit more cream. I've probably got some seed left though, so I may grow it again. I'm holding the jury on that one. My bells of Ireland have all collapsed, and I probably didn't cut enough down, but they've had it now, you know, let's be honest. None of that's usable, so that all just needs clearing. The Cosmos was a disaster this year because I only put the lower line on. I forgot to put the higher line. Can you see over there? There's a higher line. And the Cosmos really needed that because the bases just got so wind-rocked. And honestly, because of the vase life of Cosmos, I'm not sure I'm going to grow it in the cut flower patch. I may just restrict it to the cottage garden, but I haven't completely decided. And again here, just lots of satis, which, I mean, I just need to come and chop all of that down because it's, yeah, it's all useless now. Hopefully there's still a few bits coming for my next 2 weeks. A few here, just so I've got enough for 2 weeks. The Halls of Heaven cuttings are just starting to produce now. So I think this is Amy Cave. I'll put up the name of this one. I quite like this one. I think this is supposed to be, I've forgotten the name now, but I'll put it on the screen. But I'm not sure, it's a lot more orange than I thought it was going to be. It's a bit too close to Colonel Bronze, which I already have. So I wanted something a little bit more pinky, I think, rather than orangey. So I'm not sure about that one for next year. And I'm not really even sure, are these the same plant? I'm not sure who that is. This one's quite a nice yellow and pink. I'll put the name on the screen. This was supposed to be Yellow Jill, but it's not. But I do think I have worked out who it is now. So I'll pop that on the screen as well. And actually, although it's not what I would have chosen, I have used it heavily this year. So I probably will grow the tubers again, but perhaps not take cuttings. The seeds I grew of the Bishop's Children were really disappointing colours. They're all red and one white. It's not really what I wanted. I will not grow those tubers again. They're just destined for the compost heap. Rosemary Blush, I love it, but somebody's eating it, and it is strange how they're just picking her and they're just eating her. Look, biting all the leaves. I think it must be earwigs. She's almost a sacrificial dahlia to protect the others. And then we've got Rosemary Dawn, who I really, really love. And then I'm not sure who this is either. I've not been able to cut any of these yet. That's the first one coming now. So we'll have to wait until that fully develops to really get an idea of who that one is. Straw flowers, still doing very well. I was very pleased with my straw flowers, which were a mix from Chilton's. Very, very happy with them. The amaranthus is being cut and cut and cut and cut again, and it's pretty much had it now. This was a second succession of cornflower, but unfortunately it's a colour that I barely use in the autumn. And the snapdragons are pretty much over now, really, as well. I've cut back all the salvia viridi that was here because this is the bed where I've got some young lady's mantle to go on the other side, to mirror this side. So lady's mantle down here, and I want to do the same the other side. And then, as I said, I've got 2 peonies that need to continue this bed of peonies here to go here. My first real success with Hibiscus this year, and it was very good, but perhaps short-lived as a crop. I think succession of that would have been better, or perhaps I just didn't keep cutting it enough because it has all gone to seed very quickly. So again, more straw flowers here. They did brilliantly. I'm glad I grew so many. And they're very useful, very used. And then my outside zinnias, not quite as good as some of the inside ones, apart from this beast. This one, oh, look at the bees. Yeah, that one's a real monster for some reason. And then, yeah, this was the phlox, my second succession. Can you just see how yellow it's all going? Nowhere near as good as the stuff in the low tunnel. My perennials here, I was really pleased with Achillea the Pearl. I love the Astrantia. The sedums, I like one of my varieties, but not these really heavy-headed ones. And the obedient plant was fantastic, but again, very short-lived in the garden. Only a cutting period of a couple of weeks. And then, of course, here we've got the dahlias. The staking method worked really well. I've had a few accidents in the wind, but generally they've been okay. I need to come out and do some deadheading really, especially if I want them to keep producing for another 2 weeks. I really did like Carnal Bronze. Yeah, lovely. Zendet Mystery Fox was as productive as ever, but much oranger than I remember. Ambition, I just wanted a cactus that I could use, so I used it a bit, but I definitely didn't use it as much as the balls. One-eyed Jill, you see they're not quite perfect now. They're showing their pollen, which isn't what you want, but it is the end of the season and perhaps they've not been quite fed well enough. And again, the yellow Jill seems to have lost its pinky centre. I loved Naomi. She was fantastic. I really like the colour. And I'll have to go all the way around the other side to show you Joshua Joey. The roses, look at them, where the rain's just absolutely destroyed them. But the fragrance is still wonderful. And the new roses seem to have settled in, and I keep getting lots of this really nice new growth. So that's really good. They're not quite what I thought though. I mean, this one almost seems like a rambler. I have to see. I wonder if it's even the same variety, because it's not behaving as the other ones in the row are. So that'll be interesting. The amaranthus, this was self-sown, been very useful. And this was the bed that I didn't use at all, so as soon as the wasps have gone, I will cut this all back, because I've not used that bed now nearly all season anyway. I found Joey Joshua to be a really useful colour because of that slight purple in the centre. It meant I could mix it with lots of different colours. I really liked it. I liked the size and I liked it, the way it lasts in a vase. My raspberries have gone totally crazy. I can barely get through down here now. I'm a bit disappointed with my wallflowers. I planted these last June, so June 2022. This is the first pathetic flower I've had, and there are no signs of any buds on the others, but obviously they've put on far too much growth now to flower next year, so I don't know. I probably will have to cut these back and see what happens. The Canterbury bells, I don't know if it's because I didn't pinch them out. They're a bit too big, not as usable as I would have liked. Here is the other Rudbeckia that needs moving. Some more gladiolus that need moving. And I was really pleased with my grasses in the end. This is the Korean feather reed grass. And I really like the perennial breezer as well, far more than the annual breezer. And then we've got some more dianthus here that we'll see if they'll do another season, but they might not be quite as productive as they are in a first year. So this is where I've got daffodils at the back here. So this needs, again, weeding, mulching, and then I'll just cut all these snapdragons down, weed and mulch, and then I've ordered some more daffodils to go in here as well. And just a nice selection of some new varieties. Because it's been raining all day, all of a sudden there are flies and bees and everybody emerging now to come out and get a quick snack before it gets dark. Anyway, it's a beautiful evening now, but unfortunately with the days drawing shorter, whereas I was looking back at videos today of me coming out, there's a video of me cutting sweet peas at 9 p.m. Ah, those were the days, but now 9 p.m. Definitely couldn't be out cutting flowers. I'd probably be out cutting sting nettles if I tried to do that. Anyway, everybody, I hope you enjoyed the update. Lots more videos to come. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week in the next video.